Well, hello there. I'm going to show you how to do my free flowing stitch. And so I'll show it to you here. I showed you at different angles so you can really see it. It's a really pretty stitch. Here. Here, I'm going to look at it like this too. And I'll show you the other side. The other side looks good too. So there it is. And it's a very nice flat stitch. It's not going to curl. Even if you're a person that has trouble with most of your stitches curling, this one should not curl. Okay. I'm just going to pull it open a little bit so you can see what the pattern looks like when it's really loose. So if you did this with a thinner yarn, you would get a stitch that looked like this, very pretty and lacy. If you did it with a thicker yarn than I'm using, you'd have a really, really tight blanket stitch with some texture to it. Now the yarn I'm using is this Creative Melange chunky yarn. It comes in 50-gram balls, 90 meters, and it is, I'll get this in the light so I can see it right, it is 53% wool, 47% acrylic, and it's virgin wool. So it has a flat look, and it comes in really pretty colors. I like this one here. Got blues and yellows and grays. Okay, I'll put this back in the bag, and we can get going. On my new loom hook here, I got this on Etsy, and they still sell them, so you can take a look at Etsy if you want to get this loom hook. Okay, now this is a stitch video, so I'm not going to show you everything. I'm not going to show you a project from beginning to end, but I'm certainly going to give you tips. You could go ahead and make a flat panel, make a scarf, or make something that you want to make just from this video. So I used a crochet chain cast on, and I have one on my YouTube channel. And then I'll show you how I'm doing the edges. And so the edges have this kind of a chain look. You might be able to see it better on this side. There's more gray. A tight chain look, and it's very nice, tight edge. And this is really nice and flat. You can see it on both sides. It looks really nice. You can do any edge you want, really, but I'll just show you how to do the one I'm doing here to get this look. Okay. So the loom, it's a 5/8 inch loom, and it's the Purple Nifty Knitter. Has 48 pegs. I don't really make this loom anymore, but you can find it from time to time in different places. Okay, so we will start on the stitch right away, but so I had told you about the cast on. Okay, so I cast it on. I cast it on this way. Then I did one row of owl eye stitch, and that got me back here to start my stitch. So cast on, do your one row of owl eye, and that will blend right in with the stitch we're doing from the edge. Okay, and I have videos on owl eye, but I'll also be able to, I'll be showing you how to do owl eye in this video, so you'll see how to do it. So we've done a row of owl eye. So the first row we're going to do is, now it's a 2-row pattern. So I'll be showing you the stitch we go this way with, and I'll be showing you the stitch we go this way with. I have marked the 2 end pegs with the green marker for the edge I'm doing, because these 2 stitches will always be treated the same, or these 2 pegs will always be treated the same. On the other side, I marked it too, and these 2 stitches will always be treated the same. And that's how I get the edge there. Okay, so we're starting on peg 3, and what we're going to do is purl this stitch. So we take the hook, put it down from the top into the bottom, and scoop up the working yarn, right, until we have a loop like that. And then we just take that loop, lift it off the peg, and flip it back over to the front and tighten. And then I'm going to take the working yarn and I'm going to scoop up that working yarn again into a second purl. And I'm going to keep the working yarn going to the right, and I'm just going to lift it off, drop it over, and tighten. Okay, so we do 2 purls on this peg. So we purl the next peg, then we come back, purl it again, keeping the working yarn that way and tightening it up. Okay, so I get closer here, and we're just going to purl the peg, purl it again, and tighten. We go to the next one, purl the peg, purl it again. Okay, so it's pretty easy actually. Loom hook down into the loop, pull the working yarn through, lift it over, flip it back on, come back, purl it again, lift it up, and pull. And you're going to want to keep this snug, but not so tight you can't just knit it over. So you can check and make sure your stitches aren't too tight. You see mine aren't. I can get the loom hook in and do it. I mean, it'll still work if you get tight, but you're just going to find it's not as fun to knit. It's going to be hard on your wrist. So try to keep it loose, but just snug, because you want to get a nice tight stitch with this. But you don't want it to be too tight. Okay, working yarn in, pull the loop up, and purl. Whoop. My loom wants to go flipping around there. And do it again, and over. This isn't the angle I usually knit at. I'm doing it to so you have a good view in the video. So it is a bit awkward for me, and be careful I don't flip it across the room here. Okay. So that's all we're doing. Purling, coming back, purling it again with the working yarn coming this way. Purling, purling it again, the working yarn coming this way. So we're always going this way with our purls. Now you can do this stitch in the round. You do 1 row of this stitch and 1 row of owl eye, which will be our second stitch. So anyway, we've got our 2 pegs here in the green. We always do them the same. So we're going to do an owl eye edge. We're going to go over peg 1 knit it over, come back around over peg 1 and 2, and knit them over. Okay, and then we're going to come back and we're going to wrap these two again. Now make sure with our edges that we keep them fairly loose. Keep our tension just perfect. So this should be fairly loose. You can loosen it if you find it's getting too tight. Okay, and we're coming back in ally, so we're going to rewrap peg 1 over peg 2, knit it off. Okay, this is ally stitch. We're on peg 1, we wrap peg 1 and 2, knit them off. Okay, so it's 2-row stitch. 1 row, it's purling twice, the way I showed you. The second row is ally. Okay, so we're on peg 1, we come over peg 1 and 2, and we just knit it off. Okay, we're on peg 1, we come over 1 and 2, and knit them off. We're on peg 1, we wrap peg 1 and 2, knit them off. We're on peg 1, we wrap and we knit peg 1 and 2, and just knit it off. Peg 1, we wrap peg 1 and 2, and knit. And that's all there is to it. We're on peg 1, we wrap peg 1 and 2, and just knit them off. Peg 1, wrap peg 1 and 2, and knit them off, because now we're on our edge, but we're doing the ally edge, so we just keep going. And then we flip this one yarn back over and rewrap these, making sure this one's kept loose. Okay, now we're ready to do the purl stitches. So we purl on peg 3 here, we come back, purl it again, keeping the working yarn to the front, purling it, and purling it again, and keeping the working yarn to the front, purling it again, keeping the working yarn to the front, and I'm always snugging it up as I go, purling it again, snugging it up. Okay. Purling it again, snugging it up, purling it again, and snugging it up. That's all there is to it, but we'll go all the way to the end and I'll show you that edge stitch one more time. And then we're at the 2 edge stitches, so we're going to do the ally stitch for the ally edge, and then we come back, keeping this loose, and we would just keep doing ally all the way down. And that's all there is to doing this stitch. And this is the look you get. So it's a really, really nice stitch. Okay, so there you go. That's all there is to doing the stitch.